Hello, everyone. I am joining you live on this Monday, and I am so happy to be here. Hey there. Hello. Yay, Shavana. But you're on vacation, aren't you? My goodness, and you even came to see me, watching you from Vegas. How fun is that? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. Cynthia, yay! I have my writers with me. It feels so good. I'm telling you, today we're going to talk about writing. Why? Because we have an exciting event coming up, but I want to give you a lot more today to entice you. Walking through the casino. Wow, fantastic. Alexander Fitt, welcome. I am so glad you're joining me today. I have missed you. Normally I'm on Monday through Thursday. Last week I was only able to do 2 days because I had a video shoot, and then we were traveling from Tucson to California on Thursdays, but I'm back today. And what am I talking about? The thing that we love talking about the most, and that is the stories inside of us. The story inside of you. We all have a story. We all have a story that's meaningful and told from our perspective. You know what? You have the potential for something truly great, to leave your mark on the world. I'm so proud of the writers that have already joined today, Shavana and Cynthia, because both of them have continued their quest to be writers. Cynthia writes blogs, and Shavana has written a book and continues to write. And once that writer gets awakened in you, there's something so exciting about that creative force coming alive. And so I'm going to be talking about that today because I researched a lot of famous writers to find out what advice they wanted to give us about writing. And I'm also going to be sharing some of my advice with you. Jessica, we're talking about writing today. There's another one of my authors. She's got a book. Yep, this is the place to be if you have a love or an interest or an inkling that you should be writing. And you know what? It doesn't matter if it's a book or a blog or an article or a journal. When you wake up the writer in you, you become a better human being because your brain begins to function as a creative being. Once you wake up that creative beast inside of you, your options are endless, endless. You'll start coming alive. You'll see new things in a new way. You'll be able to tell your stories to your friends from a whole different perspective. Because once you awaken the writer in you, words are your friend. And it's beautiful. Judy, welcome, another writer on this broadcast. Welcome, welcome. Judy has written many books. She awakened the writer in her, and I'll tell you, she was on fire, and I think she still is. So we're going to talk about advice for new writers from those that have been writing. And that's people like Maya Angelou, and people like George R.R. Martin, and people like Annie Lamott. These are all writers that they all were like you once, where they had this idea that they wanted to write, and something awakened inside of them, and they kept focusing on the fact that there were so many stories inside of them, they couldn't keep burying them. They had to awaken them and let them come alive. And that's the way I felt when I wrote my first book. It was so inside of me that once I awakened that commitment, oh my gosh, it was exciting. And I wrote my first book, and it was published, and it got lots of attention. And the reason it thrills me so is because I had a purpose for that book. I wanted to change people's perspective on the beauty of imperfection, because my daughter had been born with a birth defect, and it was a facial defect. It was very difficult for her to fit comfortably into society until she had her surgeries. And so I wanted her, and I wanted the world to see her in her beauty before she had all the surgeries. And so I wrote this book, and lo and behold, it had an impact. And I didn't know what kind of impact it would have. I just kept taking one step after another until the impact was astounding to me. And I don't need to share that story right now because I want the focus to be on you. Author Neil Gaiman, who's an English author, he wrote The Sandman. Here's what he said: start telling the stories that only you can tell, because there will always be better writers than you, and there will always be smarter writers than you. There will always be people who are much better at doing this or that. But you are the only you. Isn't that a beautiful quote? And that's what I tell every one of my writers when they start the book is, well, maybe a book like this has already been done. No, never. Not from your perspective. And that's the beauty of your story, is that it belongs to only you. No one else has experienced what you've experienced from your perspective. Ah, love the hearts. Hey, they match my blouse, don't they? For those of you who have been, that were on my 5-day writing challenge, and those of you who have been with me for a while or have downloaded anything from my website, you'll be getting an email about a very exciting workshop that Shavana and I are doing on April 29th. And so that's why most of the broadcasts coming up are going to pertain to writers, because I want you to be so excited that you will want to participate with us, join in a room with us in Southern California and do this together. I'm excited about it. Here's my website, by the way. And on the first page of the website, you'll see Right to Heal Workshop. That's on the first page of the website, Right to Heal Workshop. And you'll see a picture of me and a picture of Shavana. And there we are talking about being together and awakening the writer in you. Yes, April 29th. And we have great gifts for you. We have tools. We have worksheets. It's going to be great. Right to Heal. Shavana is just posting it for you. So for any of you who would like to take a trip to Southern California, it's here. You're taking a course about violence. Just finished a chapter about Sam Peckinpah. And how he saw yes, I could tell you lots of stories about how Sam Peckinpah, a different way to portray violence, and he went for it. And you know, I had the privilege of being on location with Sam a number of times on his movies. And for those of you who don't know Sam, he was a very famous film director and actually started the genre of the slow motion violence, which of course today has become far greater than I'm sure he ever could have imagined when he started. But what it did was, his intention was to wake up people's minds to the thought about the devastation of violence. Despite loads of criticism, took some heat for it, you bet. And personal heat. He was very tormented. He was very tormented by his drive. And artists do not have to be that way. Writers do not have to be tormented to be effective writers, believe me. But there was a time, like when you look at Hemingway, what a tortured soul Hemingway was. And yet, what a sad life to lose. He had so many books left inside of him. If he had just resolved whatever that beast was inside of him. Now, I've never been a tortured writer, and I can tell you my late husband David was never a tortured writer. It spoke to me how he just did what he needed to do. Yeah, exactly. He was driven by the desire to produce this creative beast that directed movies beyond anything that had been done before. And he fulfilled it. Now, all of us have the potential to fulfill our stories in a very big way. But we just have to start. That's what Neil Gaiman says. Start telling the stories that only you can tell. Writing is an act of commitment. And without the commitment, it does not happen. And as I said, most of this week we're going to be talking about writing. My hope is that you've already begun your writing if you're new to this broadcast. And if you haven't, that you hang in there with us, because we're a group of people that have experienced writing in these past 2 years together. And I say actually a year and a half, because I started on Periscope in 2015, September of 2015. And we've been talking about writing all along. And if you haven't followed me, please follow me. I'm at Sandy Peckinpah, just like my name. And this is my website. But you can just follow me on Periscope. And if you want more, oh my gosh, go to my website. I have lots of my blogs there. You can just read them. I have free downloadable worksheets. I have videos for you to wake up your creative spirit. Because that's my passion. That is my passion. Oh gosh, hold on. Let me just turn off my phone there. Sorry. Writing is an act of passion because it's not always easy. But once you catch fire, oh my gosh, it is so fulfilling. Isn't it, Shavana? Isn't it, Jessica? All of you, Judy, Cynthia, isn't it? Yes, see the hearts coming up? When you do it, it is so fulfilling. It's important that you never call yourself an aspiring writer. You know, I used to hate that term as an actress when I was acting in my 30s and 40s. I hated that term when people would say, oh, she's an aspiring actress. Or I'd call myself, I'm an aspiring actress. No, I already was an actress. I had my SAG card. I was in films, but there was something inside of me that made me feel like I had to keep calling myself aspiring. You are not an aspiring writer. The day you sit down and write is the day that you're a writer. The day you commit to your writing is the day that you're a writer. And George R.R. Martin says that the best piece of advice he ever got was when you start writing, you better make sure you finish it. Isn't that great? And I've got that quote later on in this broadcast for you. Isn't that great? Ask these beautiful women on this broadcast who have finished what they set out to write how good that feels. It just makes you come alive. It makes you feel so confident in your ability to follow through. And it bleeds out into many areas of your life. That ability. Once you make one commitment, you're better at making another commitment and another. Good writing happens also when you read other people's stuff. This gives you a peek into the stories. What makes stories work? What makes it not work? Why did it hold your attention? Did it make you want to continue reading? What made you pick up this book in the first place? It's those kinds of questions that prepare you for the day that you sit down and write. Quite simply, that day, you simply learn how to write by doing it. That's why I'm doing the class about violence, research for writing. Fantastic, Cynthia! See, she's taking action. She's taking action on knowing something that she's going to be doing is going to make her writing better. She's already a writer. She's been writing for years. She's been writing a blog for years. She has enough for a book, and she knows that. And now she's coming even more creatively alive by learning about film. It's those kinds of things when we follow the intrigue of our minds. Great, it's taking shape. Follow the intrigue of your mind, just like Cynthia. She was guided to take a class on film. I was actually guided in wanting to write a book. I hired a teacher in my 30s to teach me about literature and fairy tales. And so I joined a group. The teacher was the headmaster of Viewpoint School. She was retired and she loved teaching. And so I learned so much about reading the classic novels, the classic fairy tales, that when it was time for me to commit as a writer, I was prepared. As new writers, we are about to enter an exciting new world. And what happens is when you catch fire, you start to fall in love with that creative spirit inside of you, that creative fire. And you also learn more about you, who you are. As new writers, when you enter that new world, there are some things that you want to watch out for. So, number one, watch out. Ideas randomly come at you at all hours of the day, right? Okay, so yes, you're agreeing with me. They'll come at you from all angles. They'll come at you when you first thing when you wake up in the morning, while you're at the gym, when you're driving. Writing your story will awaken all of your senses, yes. And night, and especially when it's inconvenient, like the shower, that's right. But guess what? Samantha actually has a tablet in her shower that her husband hooked up, I think. I think she told me that. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Your shower crayons. Excellent. I should get some of those. I don't think I've got those. That's awesome, Cynthia. So what do? You prepare yourself. You keep notebooks everywhere. And we're going to talk about that in our seminar. You keep notebooks everywhere. You keep notepads in your car. You always have something to write with. Always. And you're ready for that random firing of ideas from the universe that come your way. And it's insane. It's insane how it wakes up. Number two, you'll get up in the middle of the night to write ideas down, and maybe you'll tiptoe to the kitchen and make a cup of tea, and suddenly you realize you're up. You better start writing those ideas down. That's the writer in you, awakened with the fire of your creativity inside. Or get up to just plain write, and it's hours later. You know what? One of the things, it's so true, Cynthia, because one of the things that I love is that when I'm on fire writing, I can hardly wait for the morning. I can hardly wait. And if it's a working day where I have to meet clients first thing in the morning and stuff, I can hardly wait till the end of the day. Sometimes words need out now. She's right. They need coming out now. Number three, watch out, writers. The new writer in you, you're going to want to share it with everyone because it's exciting. But be careful not to burn out your story. So the writer in you is going to want to share, I'm writing my story, I'm writing my memoir. You don't want, when people say, what's it about? You can say, hang on, you'll have a chance to read it. Because if you start telling your story over and over again, that burns out the mind. And it tells the mind it's already been done. You don't need to do it again. And I saw this happen over and over again with my husband's scripts, where he'd get this idea, and this was very early in his career, and people say, what are you working on, David? And he would tell the story, and then he'd go into great detail. By the time he'd sit down to write it, it wasn't there. The story was MIA because it had fizzled out. It had burned itself out. Yeah, watch out for that. Don't tell the whole story. I'm very careful about who I tell titles to. Hold on one second. I got to tell my business partner, hey, guess what? I'm on Periscope. Hold on. As soon as I get off, I'll call you right back. It'll be 5 minutes.
Okay, and it's for real. It's done.
Okay, let's do our conference call in 5 minutes. Okay, bye. That's a first on Periscope. I've never taken a phone call, but guess what? My big ranch up in La Cresta that I was selling just closed. It's official. Hallelujah. And you get to share it with me. Oh my gosh, I am so happy for our sellers. I am so happy for our sellers. And it was not easy. Yes, it's done as of a minute ago. So you know what? I'm going to share the rest of this stuff tomorrow because I have a whole slew of other things that I want to share with you. But yes, we did it. We did it. Okay, so I promised you advice from writers, and that's what I've been giving you. But now, guess what I have to do? I have to do a part 2 to this because I can't let my seller wait one more second to know this wonderful news. He's been waiting a long time for this. You're on at 6 p.m. Oh, Shavana, I'll make sure that I listen to you. Shavana is on at 6 p.m. She's going to talk about our seminar as well. But I want to leave you with this. Let me leave you with what George R.R. Martin says, and I just said it. That's right. Shavana, LMFT, is on, and it's Not Your Average Therapist. She is doing a show tonight at 6 o'clock on Periscope. This is our partnership coming up in a seminar. Shavana has a beautiful gift of healing, and I am lucky to have brought the writer in her to fruition, and this is exactly what we're going to be sharing in our seminar on April 29th. It's not a huge commitment financially. In fact, it's really reasonable. But what it is, it's a huge commitment on your part to become a writer. The writer you always felt was living inside of you, ready to come out. So what Maya Angelou says is, you can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Pursue the things that you love and do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. Now, if that's the writer in you, or the artist in you, or the real estate agent in you, or the nurse in you, or the therapist in you, or the speaker in you, whatever you do, make sure that that love transfers into all that you do and all that you are. I'm so excited to be sharing this journey with you, and I'm so excited that your stories, once you begin your stories and you let them out, you'll see them work their magic. I can tell you this from experience, that I had no idea whether one person would read my book. I had no idea. Sometimes books take momentum. They need to gain momentum. Books are not always bestsellers, folks. Some books sell, a couple hundred. Some books sell thousands. Some books sell millions. Like George R.R. Martin, who happens to be a personal friend of mine, by the way, and I met him in 1989. And his drive to be a writer was unlike anything I'd ever seen before, except in my husband. Both of them were on a series called Beauty and the Beast. They worked together. And both of them had that passionate love for writing. They were unstoppable. Unstoppable. And now, what is George R.R. Martin? He wrote Game of Thrones. One of my all-time favorite series. I love it. I watch it all the time when it's on. So, I am so grateful to be sharing this writing journey with you, and I'll continue our conversation tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific time. But for right now, I'm going to leave you with that beautiful thought. Awaken the writer in you. You won't regret it, but it takes a commitment and sitting down to write. Bonsoir. I'll see you tomorrow.